Hello, we are here at another Valeo podcast. Today our guest is Arsalan, and I'm very excited. We are focusing in November on Movember, but we
Yes.
decided no mustaches.
November with no mustache. Yeah.
We can bring the awareness, but
Yes.
not the mustache. I
Absolutely.
completely agree to that. It's
Absolutely.
not for everybody. I've seen some horrible mustaches in my life.
Yes. You don't want to see me with a mustache,
No.
especially with no hair now. Like it just looks
Yeah, that would go like all, hey, the Colombian drug dealer. What was his
weird.
name?
Yeah.
Okay, Arslan, nice to have you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
My first question to you would be, when was like your wake-up call that this was your calling, this is what you wanted to focus on? Sorry, I'm like diving in.
Oh no,
you
go
know.
ahead. Go deep straight away. So I come from a very kind of high achieving, high performing background. I was a professional athlete, semi-professional athlete from the age of 12.
12, wow.
Yeah.
What sport?
Squash was my thing. So I was one of probably the top players in the region until I was about 16, 17. And then I went to the States and I played volleyball and beach volleyball, kind of like first division level in uni. And then I came back and I started working for the government in Abu Dhabi. And every step of that journey until the point where I was about 40 and I did my last Ironman race, which is the whole, if I give you the timeline, it's quite interesting. I've had these, I didn't know why then, I know now why, but I've had these like steep inclines in my different careers and kind of fall and steep incline and fall. And the steep inclines were very steep and the falls were very, very steep. So it was the same with squash, it was the same with volleyball. And then when I started working for the government at the beginning, I was working for the Department of Civil Aviation. I was part of the privatization team that privatized the airport, Abu Dhabi Airports Company. Okay. So it was like I think it was about a $5 billion project that changed. And the result was the midfield terminal that just got launched was one of the results. So we were the team that kicked all of that off. So
always a lot of expectations. I think, right?
Crazy. I mean, that's the marker of a high achiever. It's what I know now is kind of the curse of high achievers, which is you've always been expected somehow through your childhood or through your nurture to perform at certain levels. And it just becomes part of your identity, part of you seeking self-love or seeking external love.
That's 100% completely agree. And you mentioned in our talk before that there are, a high achiever and an ultra performer or a high performer are not the same thing.
Yeah.
What are the differences?
So,
just so that we clarify definitions before we get into it.
Great. I love that. So just to be clear, these are not like textbook definitions. These are only my definitions within within our business, within the Ascension, my company. So a high achiever is a personality trait, right? It's somebody that, as we spoke right now, is somebody that's been driven by to success for certain subconscious reasons, right? But they haven't honed the practice of becoming a high performer, which is somebody that performs at high levels. So they could be somebody that's eternally trying to find this instant self-gratification by starting projects, not completing projects, burning out, doing all of these things that cause them to kind of deplete themselves, but haven't honed the skill of being a high performer, where they are actually able to take that personality trait, add some things to it, take some things away from it, and perform at sustainable levels that actually gives them the success that they're looking after.
So do you think like a high achiever can think they are a high performer?
Yes.
But they might not be?
Yes.
Okay, very interesting.
And then an ultra high performer are the 1%ers, are the ones that are high performers that have taken that and have become the top in the world at what they do. So these are the people that kind of we specialize in my business, the ultra high performers.
And so how does an achiever become a performer? Like, how do you switch between them? Is it easy, or is this what you actually work with people
It's never easy to be a high performer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that I think most people don't realize, that to be a high performer is a lot of work, right? And I think a lot of people don't understand.
And you're not born like that.
No. I mean, you could be, but we're not born to understand what it really takes to come to the level where you're considered a high performer, and even more when you're considered an ultra high performer. So if we're looking at ultra high performance, for example, let's look at the
Yes.
the most the furthest in the scale
Yeah.
of performance. You are basically working all the time. Even when you're sleeping, you're working. You're always working, right?
Working or improving, or is it like working?
No, you're putting in work.
Yeah.
You're putting in work. So when you sleep, you got to sleep efficiently. And to sleep efficiently, you got to put in the work in order for you to go into deep sleep and REM sleep and all of these things. And you got to sleep early, and you got to wake up early, and that has to be consistent every single day of your life. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for somebody that wants to take a quote unquote break. It's not for somebody that wants to do all of these things. And that's why mitigating chronic stress amongst high performers and ultra high performers is an art. It's something that needs to be plugged into your life, where you cater to that kind of personality, where they're still working at resting, right? But they're not really letting go. Because if you talk to any ultra high performer and tell them, take a week off, they're gonna
do another marathon.
They're gonna, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you're telling me what made me shift, what really made me shift, what was my biggest burnout, my biggest awakening, was after my last marathon, after my last
Ironman.
half Ironman in Dubai.
Okay.
Where I completely
at
broke
40.
down. At 40. Completely broke down. Completely
Like
fell apart.
physically and emotionally.
Physically, emotionally, everything. I got diagnosed with everything under the sun.
At 40.
At 40.
And did you feel was there any doubts in your head before that, I might be tired, I might be burnt out, I might be like, emotionally.
Doubts are not allowed to be acknowledged when you are that type of personality.
Very interesting.
Doubts are a weakness.
Very interesting.
These thoughts are a weakness. I'm not saying it's right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the reality. That's where I was.
But when things hit the fan.
Yeah. I mean, eventually something is going to give. Your body is going to, and I'm very, very thankful my body gave up the way it did. I didn't really have any significant diseases or anything like that.
Yeah.
There were not minor things, but not major things. Like, Iyad Billah, not
knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Cancer could be stuff like that. It could come from stuff like that. Very, very debilitating diseases.
Yeah.
And I had debilitating quote unquote diseases, but they weren't at that level. So that's when I kind of woke up. And the funny thing is to just mention, when I started doing Ironman, I was about 35, and I was already extremely burnt out from my career. So at that point, I had left the government, and I was heading up a multinational out of the UK, and I was doing that for about 5 years, and that was cutthroat. It was post the 2011 crisis, and it was horrendous times.
And what in your head was like, okay, I'm burnt out, I'm running a company, I will do an Ironman? I always wonder, like, how do these decisions come to be? Because when you're in the middle of it, and for me, the same thing happened when I decided to, climb Kyrgyzstan, and I'm like on top of the mountain. I'm like, why?
Why?
Why am I here?
I'm reading Gauguin's book right now, and that's like the theme. I think, and I'm just working with people like him.
Yeah.
That's the theme. That question, why?
Yeah.
Is the beginning of the journey in the Ascension method. Is to answer the question why, because that's what I realized.
Before you start the journey.
Before you start the journey,
yeah.
right? Because that's a game changer. If you have a positive why, if it's coming from a positive purpose, you're fueled by positive energy. But that's why I'm telling you about the high achievers.
Yes.
The high achievers, most of them are driven by a very negative energy of shame, of guilt, of being told they're not good enough unless they are someone, or unless they achieve something, or they're compared to other people as children. So what we know about the subconscious is you're programmed to be who you be from the age of 0 to 7. So if at that age you're always, and then from 7 to 14 or 15, you're developing your values in life and things like that. So if through that journey you're being told that you're not good enough unless you are top in class, top in I don't know what, which is kind of like our Middle Eastern mode of teaching our kids and bringing up our kids and how we were brought up. You start developing a relationship with yourself that is less than, unless I do something. You're not coming from a base of 100%. I'm enough and I'm building on that. You're coming from a base which is I'm not enough, which is an empty hole that you're trying to fill the whole time and it never gets filled up. So going back to your question, so what happened to me was my wife was doing her PhD in California. So the first 6 or 7 years we were a long distance marriage.
Yeah.
She was in California doing her PhD.
And a PhD, by the way, is another mountain.
Oh,
I had friends that did PhDs. It's another mountain.
Yeah, that's something that I would rather do 10 Ironmans than do a PhD, you know.
It's very difficult.
So we went through that also. So it was stressful from the fact that she was going through it, and you know, as a husband, I was trying to support her through that. She was also in California. 12 hours difference. Morning, for 6 years, I wake up, she sleeps. I sleep, she wakes up. You know, so we're in different energies and whatever. But then she finished and she came back, and very kind. She got a really nice job in the government. So she very kindly said, "You look like crap. You need to take a break." So I sat with myself and I decided, you know, a break looks like doing an Ironman. So because who takes a break, right? That's what I was telling you at the beginning. That's the mentality.
Break looks like I mean, I know exactly what you mean, but it's so funny that a break is an Ironman. And I guess, like you said, I think we're learning slowly that, you know what, silence, breathing, just the simple things of doing nothing. Like if I have an hour in my day that I'm free, I start getting anxiety of like, what else can I do in that
How can I fill it up?
Exactly. Like, you know, why not just sit down and breathe? And just, you know, be present. And I think it takes a lot of, you know, it's a journey. I definitely think it's a journey.
We've lost the art of getting bored.
Oh, 100%.
We've lost that art.
I mean, this social media has...
I remember when we were kids, so pre-social media and all of that, like in the 80s and 90s growing up. Yes, I was growing up in the 80s and 90s. You know, when we were bored 80% of the time. Like we would just sit on the street, on the footpath and, you know, like literally sometimes not say anything, being a guy, you know. Sometimes we'd just not say anything, like throw rocks or something the whole day, trying to get like rocks into a bottle for like, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes,
and then you had like
hour.
One TV. I mean, how much are you going to watch? And then everybody, TV, you know, and then dad comes home, he has the TV.
So you can't watch TV. Can I like channel 33?
Oh my God, I was just going to say channel 33. On Thursday night, they had an Indian movie. We would all sit and watch it.
Exactly. What are you going to do? Like so we didn't have much to do. So we filled our days with sports, with stuff. And we were growing up, we were very athletic and played so many sports because we just
which is very good for your health.
Yeah, of course.
But I guess there's also the mental. It's very funny now. You need to do like a 2-week retreat of where they take your mobile. I mean, it's not supposed to be a retreat of like, you know, I take out social responsibilities from around me. But I have so many things I want to delve into.
Go ahead.
But so you got your wake up call. You know, and I look at your, you know, I've been following you for a while, and the messages you give. I mean, I can see it even in me. It took me a lot of time to realize that I did a lot of things in my life because I never felt enough. And then one day you wake up and you're like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I still feel I'm not enough, even if all of these are happening? And then you start this journey of emotions, and you start reading books, meditation, breath work, and you realize the simplicity of things, right? Sitting down, just breathing, and you are doing the 90 breath work. Can you explain it a bit to us? What is it?
90 breath work is a funny one, to be honest with you, because as a purist, right, it is the total.
Can we define purist?
Purist is somebody that likes to take these disciplines and practice them on the purest form.
Okay,
so if I would say breath work, I believe that you should be able to sit on Sheikh Zayed Road in the middle of it. Hopefully, don't do this at home.
Yes,
like I'm just saying, it's not advice that we give here. But I'm saying, like, in the middle of the most densely hectic area, and you should be able to sit with yourself in silence. That's pure. That's the purest form of of meditation, right? It's all well and dandy for you to go find your Zen area in the house and create a very nice, soft music and all of that and sit and meditate. But if you can't take the meditation practice into life, then it's not useful, right? You have to be able to take these practices to places. So as a purist, as somebody that breath work, for example, I used to be a free diver. So for me, breath work is all about getting yourself into a state, and you don't need the music, you don't need all of that stuff, you don't need the mat, you don't need the gongs and all of that. You should be able to sit with your breath by yourself and alter your state, whether you want to bring your state up or bring your state down. And there's techniques for that. 9D breath work is the polar opposite of all of this, but it's very interesting too, because you basically, that word 9D comes from the way the music is produced. So it is produced 9-dimensionally, meaning that they can.
So you wear the things.
You wear a headset, you wear a mask, and you lay down.
Wow.
You lay down on the floor, and you have your own personal experience within this. So it's narrated. First of all, there's music. The music is set to certain frequencies that give you there's all kinds of stuff in it. There's binaural beats, all of that stuff. But also, the narration has hypnosis and NLP and stuff integrated into it. So it's all of these modalities. Is there like
words or?
Yeah. It's narrated. The guy doesn't stop, right? So it's about an hour and 20 minutes journey on average. And you go through a journey, like literally they take you through a journey with all of these modalities integrated. And the cool thing about it, we're able to do that because the music is cut in a way where you could put sound anywhere, around you, behind you, underneath you. So it's this immersive experience where you could have somebody saying something here and then somebody whispering something here. That is like subconsciously picked up.
Okay, very nice. And how long is it?
It's an average of about an hour to an hour 20 minutes, depending on the journey you're doing. So we do have different journeys for different things. So there's journeys to conquer fear. There's journeys to as something as spiritual as your ancestral trauma. We go into that. There's all kinds of things. And then there's the other side of it, which is the relaxation side of it, which is kind of like teaching techniques through the 9D experience to help you learn how to mitigate stress and deactivate your nervous system.
Do you include breath work in your daily habits?
Me? Yeah, absolutely.
Daily.
Breath work never leaves my mind.
Okay. I don't know if you know Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
I did with him a week.
Yeah, I did.
Meditation.
I did too, yeah.
Which one? The one in
Dubai.
In Hayat?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was there too.
Oh, right, cool. Yeah.
It was really nice. I mean, you really enter another phase, like another level. Yeah. I think, and then after that, directly, you remember COVID hit.
Yes.
And then he started doing his meditations online during COVID.
Yeah.
And I do think during the break, what do you say when they closed you couldn't go out?
Lockdown.
The lockdown and COVID.
You forgot what that's called.
Yeah, exactly. And I would like
Erased.
to
Amnesia.
I have that you removed completely out of my memory. So when they had the lockdown, those meditations really, made it much easier for me because I would go into you realize the world is much bigger than you sitting in this one room and breathing. Actually, it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah, I think I love Joe Dispenza. I've been a fan of his for decades. I've been following him for a very long time before he was even famous. Before when people used to call him a kook, when people used to call him he's crazy, and it was called pseudoscience and all of that stuff. But I don't like the movement that comes with him, which is the cultish kind of movement. So after I finished, when I went. Anyways, I was already a master hypnotist and a master NLP practitioner and all of that stuff. So a lot of the stuff he was talking about, and I've read already 5 or 6 of his books. So I already knew and whatever. For me, what was interesting, to be very honest with you, out of all of it, is the event itself. How they made the event and how seamless it was.
People.
Yeah, it was so seamless. And the music and AV and stuff, it was so. It was such a fascinating experience. But having 4,000 people there meditate at the same time, it's super powerful.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was my first experience. I didn't know him very well. I had read one book. I had never gone to a meditation retreat. Seeing 4,000 people meditating at the same time, feeling it, I think was mind-blowing. Do I think I want to follow one person or one, also I don't want to have his meditation all the time. I like to do, I am, I guess, sort of a purist. I do think meditation or breath work is just about sitting comfortably with yourself and the world around you,
Absolutely.
I can talk about this for hours, but I was very curious to know, so one reason, the vision behind Valeo and when we launched it was that we really wanted people to have control of their health, to empower themselves. And we used to talk about, and Jamie, for example, our chief well-being officer, he's a performance coach, fitness coach from before, for also the ultra performance. And, we would always wonder, like, okay, should all these techniques only be used for ultra performance people? But actually a CEO of a top company should know these techniques because he is also an ultra performer. How can we bring this? Because before you would think of, okay, like the top tennis players, like the top football players, the top have this regiment of workout. Like, as you said, their sleep is work. Like, their sleep is actually working. My long question too short, what I wanted to ask is this how it's become? I think this whole trend of the longevity, how to perform better, how to reach your top performance, because actually from CEOs to even mothers, from businesswomen to ultra performance in athletes coming. Now if you look at Ironman, any person is trying to do or would like to do. It's not anymore to athletes, and they are being able to do it. So do you think these ultra performance regimens are actually trickling down to the CEOs, to the, somebody who actually wants to be a top performer?
Look, there's multiple ways to look at this. Anybody that wants to sustainably stay at a very high performance levels has to adopt these practices. And
these are who usually? Like
anybody. I'm talking from like a 10-year-old athlete to a mother to a CEO to members of royal families to professional athletes to mid-level personnel, whatever. Everybody that wants to perform.
Whoever commits to it and says, this is how I want to live my life.
Yes, anybody that wants to commit themselves to be a high performer sustainably without burning out, with experiencing joy, experiencing freedom, all of these things, having time, being able to manipulate time.
Okay, I really like you said experiencing joy, experiencing freedom.
Yes.
And it's so funny, in my head, somebody that is a high performer,
miserable.
Exactly. Like you're saying the opposite.
But that's the thing. That's the
yeah.
question I asked myself when you asked me what was the downfall. When I asked myself is, I was at, if you look at me from a textbook perspective, I was at the epitome of health and performance. Textbook. I was sleeping 8 hours a day. I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning in Al Qudra for 3-4 hours on a bike, come home. Because I was devoted, remember? I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So I'd sleep, take a major nap, wake up, go for my second training. Sometimes I'll train only one time a day. I had to eat like 5,000-6,000 calories a day. I was eating all of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't
very interesting
skimping on anything, yet I burnt out. Why? That was my question. Why? I told you why was a very big question for me. Why? When I was down, diagnosed with clinical anxiety, depression, bipolarism. I got diagnosed with all of that. I was really at a very, very low place, contemplating suicide, contemplating ending my life, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And the question why was very important. Why am I doing this to myself? And if I've done all of these things right, why am I still so miserable? That was my question. How can I, the puzzle I was trying to solve was how can I still perform at the highest levels, because I don't want to not perform.
Yeah.
But be happy, be joyful, not happy, joyful.
And free.
Joyful
like
and free. Feel free. Don't feel like I'm a slave to the practice. Don't feel like I'm slave to the emotions of not enough again, because that was coming from that. I wasn't free.
Yeah. And does it come to about, self-awareness? I think self-awareness is a very simple word, but actually
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yes.
It's everything. And how did you start being self-aware? Other than the wake-up call, you know, I think you can go both ways when this happens. You
Yes.
can be like, oh my God, I'm so unlucky.
Yes.
This is my life. I did
Yes.
everything I can to, and boof.
Yeah.
You can go completely, you know, take all the medication.
Victim mindset.
Exactly.
Yes.
Victimize it.
Yeah. So that was it. That was
The
it.
other
I
one.
had to put myself in a situation where, am I playing the victim? You know, or am I gonna empower myself? You word the word empowerment is huge.
Yeah.
Empower myself,
Yeah.
right? To own everything that's happened, because that's the only way I'd find a solution. If I want to fix everything else and everyone else and all the metrics in my life, that would have taken 10 lifetimes, literally, and fix my mom and fix my dad and fix my sister and fix my nephews and nieces
we
and
can't heal
all of these
everybody.
people that were causing me stress in my life, right? If I want to go and blame everybody and expect everybody to change for me, I wasn't gonna get anywhere. The only solution for me was to change myself. And that's what I started working on. And that's self-awareness. The first step is to be aware of that, right, concept in particular. And then the next step is to be aware of where you are at and what's causing it. And when you have that, then hopefully if you're positioning yourself in that state, then the solutions will appear. The person who will help you will appear. And that's what happened to me. People started appearing, signs. I started being much more acutely aware of signs in my existence, in my consciousness.
Because we're actually always given messages. We just have to hear it,
Yes.
listen it, and see it.
I mean, when you're stressed out, you're disconnected from that.
100%.
You're disconnected from your intuition.
And why did you decide, okay, because you can work on yourself, but then now you're actually helping people. And when did you decide, okay, actually, this is what I want to do?
I didn't want to do anything else. To be honest with you, like
So then this becomes your call.
Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that question, to be honest with you. Honestly, I don't remember. Sorry, it's a boring answer, but I don't remember anything happening in particular where I decided, okay, I'm going to do that. What I remember was COVID. What happened with COVID was, again, putting myself in a situation where how can I change myself to change the world? This is how I look at things now, because I believe your perception of the world is a projection from how you're feeling internally. So when COVID hit, I immediately positioned myself as it's the best thing that's ever happened, and I need to find the lesson out of this, both for me and for collectively, for humanity, what's in it. Thankfully, my wife made an amazing decision to move from the 2-bedroom apartment we were in the gardens to move up in life and get a bigger house in green community. So we had a big house with a garden and stuff. So mind you, I know that what I'm saying, I know what I'm saying is a kind of a privileged perspective, because I had the privilege to be able to have the outdoor area and the garden and relax and stuff like that. So I'm having that caveat. Having said that, I positioned myself in a place where I was like, okay, let me see, what is this trying to tell me? We had a few businesses that had to be shut down. But then when I was thinking about setting up this business, it kind of put me in a position where, I'm just sitting at home, I might as well do it. And I put it out there, and I got a client in Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
Right? That paid me to do this online. And an amount I just put there that I don't expect anybody to pay me for, like I didn't know how much to pay for. It's the days before it became popular, And then I got another client in Uruguay and Paraguay, sorry.
Oh, wow.
And then I swear to God, I got another client in Africa. This is within like weeks.
Oh, wow.
All of a sudden it became a business. And then I had to learn how to make it a business, which is a whole different other ordeal.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, that's how it just started. It started very organically like that.
Okay. I mean, very interesting. I think you also learn, I'm sure, with every person that you help. But so you work with ultra performers and high performers and high achievers that want to move to high performance. What would you say, are the commonalities that you see? I want to focus more on the high performance than the ultra high performance, because I think they are 1%. And we would like to, talk to the, 99%. But I think we have a lot of lessons learned from the 1%. Yes. I think they've just been born with this extra and purpose that actually they need to execute.
Yes.
But what would you say the commonalities are, and what do you see that things that if they bring on in their life really starts impacting them, be it from nutrition to actually, checking their blood or supplements or even mindset or, how is usually the journey you see?
So I've created two things. One's called the Ascension method, which is kind of the philosophy, a 4-step philosophy of how to get from a high achiever to an ultra high performer. Within it, there's a working mechanism called the 10 pillars of life mastery.
Okay,
right?
Very nice.
And it's a positive spin to the 10 pillars of chronic stress. Okay, so if you're able to think about all the things that cause you stress in your life, right, and have a plan and a strategy to mitigate them, you will very quickly become a high performer.
To mitigate them?
Yeah.
Or not to remove them, mitigate them.
No, you're never going to be able to remove stress.
How
Stress is a very misunderstood term.
I know, but how do you mitigate?
You mitigate, like if you're, for example, if you're not sleeping well, sleep is causing you stress. You mitigate it by creating strategies to sleep better. If you're not eating well, you mitigate stress from bad nutrition by eating well, and that mitigates stress, right? It becomes the anti-stress. So that's what it is. To me, one of the things that I realized when I had my burnout was I was severely chronically stressed. I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue stage 3, which means that my adrenals almost shut down. Like we were like, that's it, bro. We're not doing any of this crazy stuff anymore.
But was this led by like your physical performance in the fitness or your everything together?
Emotionally.
And the physical was actually just adding to it.
Yes.
And making it worse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I had unresolved trauma that was driving me to become a high achiever. And I was a high achiever in multiple things. I mean, I was a senior advisor in the government of Abu Dhabi to 2 ministers in a row by the age of 28.
Yeah.
I was driven by energy that was just like, get out of the way. I'm going there, against all odds, because there were a lot of odds. And but I told you, with every one of these ministers, it was a severe fall. And, after the first fall, I was agoraphobic. I couldn't leave the house. I had this, I went crazy, literally.
Okay.
I had this debilitating back problem. So when I tell you I understand what chronic stress causes, I understand it. And to be a high achiever, the opposite of it is chronic stress. To be a high performer, sorry. So to me, it's a very simple formula. If somebody wants to become from a high achiever, stressed out high achiever, let's say,
it's a stressed out high achiever that actually, on paper, very successful.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. On paper. But where's the joy? Where's the freedom? Where's all of that? So that's the difference, right? Now I'm a high performer, and I actually enjoy being a parent. I enjoy my relationships. I enjoy going out with friends. I enjoy my workouts. I enjoy work. I enjoy what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. It fills me with energy and whatever. And there are certain small shifts. The first shift within the Ascension method is the why, the purpose. Are you doing what you're doing because you want to prove to your parents that you're worthwhile and you've made a lot of money, and that's a hole you're never going to fill?
Yeah.
Right?
No, never.
But are
especially
you doing...
in Middle Eastern parents.
Yeah, exactly. But are you...
I mean, it comes from, I think, like, they try their best.
Of course. No, I'm not saying... that doesn't matter to me. They tried their best, they didn't try their best, whatever. Again, it's on you.
Yeah.
Right? You have your trauma, right? You're not responsible for your trauma, but you're responsible to get over it. Like, man up, woman up.
100%,
and get over it and do the work to this is the world I live in, right? I'm not in the world of I'm so in pain and طبطب على الناس and stuff like that. No, there's a bit of empathy.
Yeah.
But let's move on and create a strategy. So the why is very, very important.
Yeah,
why you're doing what you're doing. Because that fuels all the work that has to come later on. Sleeping properly, working properly. It's work. There are times where I don't want to sleep at 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m.
Yeah.
I want to go out and party with my friends. I want to do all of these things.
But we should do that sometimes.
Yeah.
80-20.
That's okay.
Yeah.
As long...
And you do it with joy and freedom.
Yes. As long...
Those are my 2 favorite words.
As long as you know and you have a strategy to mitigate it later on when you need to perform.
Yes.
So if you're an ultra high performer, you're going out to party, the next day is, let's say, Sunday, Monday is work. You have to put in the work on Sunday to recover so that on Monday
100%.
if you're aware aware and you're conscious and you're living your world consciously, then yes, by all means. But if you don't know how to do that, there is a period of time where you shouldn't until you learn what you need to put in. And, you know, places like Valeo and things like that have that kind of mentality mindset within it, because I see it because of all the supplements and things that you offer and the framework that you have after the blood tests and all of that, and the
coaching,
the IVs and
IVs,
the coaching and all of that has that mentality. So if you're able to afford it, if you're able to, again, I also work with people that are privileged and can afford stuff, right? So you have to, if you're going to play hard and you're going to work hard on Monday, how can you transition to that, you know, with a plan and a strategy? So yes, absolutely. 80-20, as long as you know what you're doing.
100%. 100%. I mean, in Valeo, I think what we try to do is really give you all the tools and we bring it home so that there's no excuses.
Yes.
There's no victimizing. You know, you don't have to go somewhere. We bring it home. But at the end, like, it's really about empowering the person to, like, I want to be at my best. So I need to check that my vitamin mineral levels are optimized, because actually we are given this body that can perform on, you know, ultra to high. But you need to take care of it.
Of course.
You need to take, you know, you can't expect to, like, sleep late, wake up early, you know, eat a bad diet, and on Monday 9 a.m. perform amazingly well in a pitch that you have. It's not the way it is. It's crazy.
I mean, look, I choose my partners very carefully, and my go-to people to do the blood tests and all of that is Valeo. Let's make that clear. I do work with you guys, but it's for that reason. It's because I pick people with the similar values that are that energetically there is a complementarity, because I believe also in the metaphysical world and what that means, and spiritually how that affects things, and it's vitally important. I have a package with you guys. My clients come in. They have to do the package. There's no.
So it's part of the blood test.
It's part of and they have to retest every 3 months while with me. My programs are usually 6 months intensive or 1 year. I don't have anything less than that. And
you
so
have to commit.
You have to commit. You have to commit to yourself and to me, and me to you. So I take it's a very low volume, high yield kind of business. My business. I only work 1-to-1 so far. So the clients that come and work with me commit to a lot financially. More importantly, time for them. People like that, time is more valuable than money.
100%. You know? And the mindset, I like that. I'm gonna put the time to actually take care and perform better.
Yes, because to ultra high performers, time is the most important commodity. You know, so the whole working system is how can we fit stuff within the time. That's really what it comes down to, what it boils down to. You know, how can we look at your life, instill all of these new things, which takes time, but also instill them with the understanding that needs to be efficient, and it needs to be top science, top notch, top everything. So we're very, very heavily researched. We're really heavy into R&D. We're always testing new stuff and new technology, and all my clients are on wearables, at least for a year, until we teach them to get over it.
By the way, you can. I also agree to that. I did get over it because but you can connect now your wearable on Valeo, and you as the coach, you can see.
Oh, cool.
So your your client's wearable.
Okay, I'd like
which
to
is
know
part
more
of
about
putting the blood test and the wearables
that.
together.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a new feature.
Okay. Is that like AI driven or?
No, it's more like data driven. So we'll put the data of your wearables.
But something has to analyze the data, right?
Yeah. So the coach, we bring you the data. But the coach can now take their conclusions.
Nice.
The next step is definitely putting AI to it, so that you can then connect it to nutrition and.
Look at you!
Wow,
nice,
very exciting.
Nice,
I mean, you have to satisfy I love, because our clients are the ones that are like, you guys should do this. You guys should launch this package. You guys, because they're all into their health and wellness, that they know what they want.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Now thinking of the ultra high performers. What do you think are lessons learned from them for people that can take it, and for high performers or high achievers, that they can take it in their day-to-day life?
First of all,
the why I think is super.
Yes, fix that.
I think this is for everybody.
Yeah.
100%.
First, for sure, fix that, because that's the base.
Yeah.
Right. That's the base that gives you the energy and the perseverance and the sustainability and all of these work and the efficiency and all of that. Second of all, understand that if you want to become an ultra high performer like them, it's a dedication. You're dedicating yourself to that purpose, right? And when you dedicate to yourself to that purpose, it gives you the energy and the fuel to keep going and to keep systematically improving day on day. The other thing I noticed is they are very acutely aware of how much they put on their plates and how much they improve. So they don't go 100% into something. They slowly start increasing new habits into their life so that it is not overwhelming, right? And they are heavily invested in themselves, heavily. The number one investment that they make financially and time-wise and everything is themselves, and that boundary is very clearly drawn. My first boundary is myself. I take care of myself first. Some people call it selfish. It's not. It's a selfless act. Right?
I mean, I think it takes so long to get over that. But if you're not selfish or put boundaries and take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else.
Yes. So they're very, very aware of that boundary, and so they take care of themselves first, which allows them to take care of everything around them and everybody else. So that's like a very, very important aspect. And then they have a growth mindset where they're always learning, they're always growing, they're never stale. They're, one of the biggest things is if we're not growing, we're dying, like anything else in nature. So they're consistently thinking about growth and introducing new concepts and introducing new people and new systems and modalities into their life to help them upscale all the time.
You mentioned about, I think, everything you mentioned is very interesting for somebody who has a goal and wants to achieve it. But, you can have a goal, you want to achieve it, but then you have this whole community around you, be it, your wife, your husband, your kids, your mom, your dad, your friends. And now more and more we know that about longevity, community is very important, So how much of it you say, okay, the community and my balance is important, and then to my performance, right?
You're asking an extremist.
Yes.
And I have no issue blocking anybody out of my life that doesn't serve my purpose.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who they are and what they are. I've gotten to a point in my life where I understand I have 3 boundaries drawn. I have the first boundary, which is me. I have the second boundary, which is my wife and my daughter. Nobody else is in that boundary, right? And especially my daughter. And then I have because the reason I say that before I get in trouble with my wife is because she's attached to my purpose. Like one of my highest purposes is attached to her, which we could talk about later, but
is it about being a fatherhood, or
it's about being the healthiest grandparent I can be, and so healthiest and sustainable, and I can stand up on my own feet, literally and emotionally and financially and all of that, just because of my past was kind of, my relationship with my father is the polar opposite. And so she's the second boundary, and then everybody else falls in the third boundary. Doesn't matter who it is, it doesn't matter. And if you are somebody that is going, not saying have to believe in what I believe, but respect the fact that I am who I am and I built myself that way. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm saying this is just me. And I am on a mission, and my mission is much higher than the normal things that people talk about that affects singular relationships. Eventually, I ended up with one friend. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Well, I see what's about.
Eventually, I have like maybe 3 really good friends, which is what happens anyways when you grow up. And the people that are coming, the new people that are coming into my life are people that are aligned with my energy, with my purpose, with my mission, because that's just who I'm meeting.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I think the universe does do their exchanges.
Yeah.
It brings people, it removes people.
Yes.
You just have to.
I don't resist. I'm in surrender.
Yeah.
I have a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's step 4 in the Ascension method is
Yeah.
complete surrender.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is the antidote of high performance. Is if you're too attached to your goals, and this is what happens with high achievers. They have goals, they assign their self-worth to the goals, and if they don't reach it, it's disaster. And I know that. I identify with that, right? Ultra high performers have goals, but they don't attach their self-worth to it. That's why they can pivot, they can do other things, they can move on, they can reinvent themselves. Look at,
Very interesting.
I mean, this is the anti-curse of high achiever. This is it. Have you ever read a book called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer? Look, as a business owner,
I will read it.
do me a favor and read it, because it is the antidote to
the
surrender experiment.
So
Michael Singer.
in meditation, and only Joe Dispenza also, he has one on surrendering.
Yes.
Is one of my hardest, and I still haven't.
Yeah.
I still haven't been able to have that feeling of surrendering.
Yeah. Surrendering is the ultimate mode of existence as a high achiever. The ultimate state.
High performer or high
as
achiever?
ultra high performer.
Okay.
Sorry. High achiever. Total opposite. Sorry. Thank you. Thanks for putting me in check.
I learned my definition.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can see you're a high learner.
Yeah, I would say I'm on the line between high achiever, high performer, but that's part of growth, right? That's part of growth. Okay, very interesting. So surrendering, meaning actually being okay whatever the result is.
Yes.
But is that the case with like ultra high performers? Because they are like, let's say the people that are doing Olympics or
I mean, 90% of these people are horrifically depressed.
Yeah. Because
that's again the difference between a high performer and ultra high performer. A high performer does not mean, if you're in an Olympics, doesn't mean that you're ultra high performer. It means you're a high performer. An ultra high performer is somebody that can do the high performance with joy and freedom. Look at Djokovic, for example.
Oh, I love him.
I mean, look at him. How much joy he's having after doing this, and he went through his ups and downs, and he still goes through his ups and downs. But you see him, he's like a child, like in his interviews and stuff like that, and he's having so much fun. So why people tell me the same thing. When I tell people I'm 46-year-old, they're like, you look like you're 30, because I've gotten to a point where I'm living a childlike, mature experience. You know what I mean? I enjoy what I do every day, and when I stop enjoying it, this is the promise I made myself when I got into this. If I stop enjoying it, I'm out. I'll do something else.
I mean, and Djokovic is very explicit about, he has a very strict regimen in meditation. He has very strict regimen in food. He has very strict, I mean, you can actually be strict in these and disciplined, but also be somebody who's completely enjoys what they're doing.
Discipline coming from the right perspective buys back time, buys back joy, buys back freedom. People think that when you're really this is the glitch, right? People think when you're ultra committed and disciplined that you lose joy. Actually, if you're ultra disciplined, you buy back time, which can give you joy.
You're shifting my mindsets and things. I'm really enjoying this. And coming back to the whole men-woman we went through, are most of your clients men? Do you work mostly with men, or you work with...
No. We're niching up part of the business to men between the age of 40 and 50.
Okay. Why?
Because I'm there.
You're like, that's the audience I understand.
Exactly. I mean, I coach coaches, and one of the things I tell them always is, when you're niching up, niche into something that first and foremost you enjoy, right? And fills you with excitement.
And I want to delve into a bit on men and men that want to become from, let's say, high achievers to high performers. What is key, and what is key in that, and how can you get into that self-awareness stage?
Men are the biggest victims when it comes to being driven by lack of purpose.
Oh wow. Why?
Because men are brought up, men are by nature, let's call it nature and nurture, right?
Yes.
By nature, we are built to be providers and protectors. We're built that way.
So
right?
that is our actually default purpose.
That's our default purpose,
Okay.
right? Then you add onto it the layers of being brought up as less than, and then that becomes 100 times more. So you start putting yourself in this mode where I'm gonna do anything to create.
So I need to provide, but I'm not enough.
Yes, I need to provide. I'm not enough, so I'll do whatever it takes to provide. It doesn't matter what makes me happy. It doesn't matter what brings me joy. It doesn't matter all of these things. Added to that most of us in this age, like I'm talking about 40 to 50, are people that have been taught that there are only 4 jobs in the world and everything else isn't good enough, right?
Definitely,
and so you just can't pivot. You can't change your life. You can't even imagine that doing something you enjoy would be something that would bring you
I love
abundance.
that. Actually, you said you can't pivot. I think as a woman, we can pivot right now. I think we've given a lot of businesswoman, mother, I don't know, sports, wellness, fitness. As men, provider.
Yeah.
You don't pivot from provider.
No.
Okay.
You can't.
Okay.
One of the things. So I'm also a master relationship coach, right? This is one of the things I told you. I don't want to tell
Yeah,
all
we
the
didn't
because there's like 500 of them. But
curiosity. You want to
I
grow.
mean, it's one of the 10 pillars of life mastery, right? Relationships and partner relationships.
Yeah.
Are very, very, very significant. And one of the things with men between the age of 40 and 50 with relationships is absolutely what you just said. Is that one of the things that women in our lives don't realize, that the ultimate purpose for a man in a relationship is to see his wife happy. Happy wife, happy life is to see his wife happy. If you are not happy, that means we failed. And if you live in that kind of framework of a relationship, you're always going to feel like a failure as a man. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter how much you're providing. And that comes from the providing, right? I provide for you. I give you all these things. I go out and I hunt and I go to wars and whatever, so that you can stay where you are and I can, and you're protected and you're safe.
And your own sense of purpose is just dependent on who you need to take care of.
Yes. So without even knowing, men with this boundary thing, they're not even aware of it. They're not even aware of this boundary thing that they think that they need to protect themselves first and give themselves first and nurture themselves first. It's very talking about with women. Like when I work with women, they get this concept very quickly. Oh yeah, I have to take care of myself first. Men, you have to literally grab their hair if they have some and like slam it against the wall for them to understand it, because they can't. They can't. What do you mean? My purpose is to provide.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but you can't provide unless you're powerful enough to provide.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a happy husband unless you're happy inside.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to hate you. You're going to provide.
Yeah.
This is the biggest complaint with people that come and see me. I'm in a relationship. My wife hates me. My kids don't want to see me.
I hate
whatever.
myself.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. And just all of these things put together when it comes to 40 to 50-year-old men, I believe. The reason why we're niching into that and part of the business, again, I do work with women, is that from a spiritual, ideological perspective, I think men in that age are pivotal for the improvement of the human experience. Because we are the custodians of the new generation, right? And we are the ones that need to do a lot of self-work in order for us to create a better world.
No,
right?
100%.
Yes. Also, men between the age of 40 and 50 don't realize that this is our golden years.
Is it?
Think, of course, 40 to 50 for me is the most important, and that's when you reach your prime.
Yeah.
Right, your prime career.
We're
we're not mature. Right?
Yes,
We don't
you
mature
guys
very quickly.
Take a lot of time.
Yeah, we
compared
take
to
our
women,
sweet time. It's all
definitely.
right. Like,
Actually,
give us a break, okay? We're fighting
But
wars all the time.
there is
you know?
there is more awareness coming. I will give you
Yes.
that. But yeah, I would
little
imagine
bit,
40.
little
Yeah,
bit.
40.
The statistics, however, don't reflect that.
Okay.
80% of all suicides worldwide are men.
And is there any
8
age?
out of 10.
Oh wow.
Doesn't matter the age.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's an endemic. Nobody talks about it.
Correct.
As you would know, testosterone levels are plummeting.
Yes, exactly.
Right? There are so many theories. If you look, I'm in optimization, so this is something very important to me.
Yeah.
Hormones and the test.
Yeah.
The test I have with you guys has every
Yeah.
single hormone under the
Yes.
sun.
Because it's your
important.
function.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also at that age, testosterone is masculinity.
Yeah.
Full stop. Right? If you have a very severely low testosterone levels, and you have symptomatic low testosterone levels, because that's different,
Yeah.
serum
Yeah.
and symptoms, then there is something wrong at the foundation of what makes you a man. And a lot of times when you help people, some people can't, some people need help with that, but
Yeah.
most of the time when you help men realize their power of a healthy masculine energy, that shoots right back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I mean, low testosterone actually can lead to depression.
Low testosterone can now, recent research has linked low testosterone to many things. Heart problems, respiratory problems, of course all the typical things like libido, blah blah blah, all of that stuff.
I mean, before it was
depression.
always about like, bodybuilding,
Yes. Yeah.
actually your function as a man.
Yes.
It's very important.
Yeah,
to
absolutely. I mean, to me, I don't like this whole taboo thing about testosterone. I don't believe in it. I'm on TRT. You know, I got on it for very, very important reasons. My life before TRT and after TRT is completely like
Different.
completely.
Wow.
And you can look at it from a perspective of, if I take this little thing, it mitigates 90% of the problems I'm facing. It might have some things associated which you can resolve with the right doctors and
Yeah,
right
you
everything.
have to monitor it.
Right?
Yeah.
Versus all the problems that research are not now showing with decreased testosterone levels. And we have an endemic, like the median of
Yes,
what
definitely.
is accepted levels of testosterone right now 50 years ago would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
The lowest side of testosterone, which is something like 100 or something like that right
Yeah.
now, would have been severely deficient 50 years ago. Like
Yeah.
our parents had something like double or triple the
Yeah.
testosterone levels we have now.
I mean, this is the research shows it goes from everything, from lack of movement, from processed foods, from also how the culture has become
Yes.
this, non-movement. There's
Yeah.
no any kind of, even, I was reading some research saying, me playing rugby
Yeah.
for men,
Yeah.
like will actually, just being gruff and
Yeah,
tough,
all of my
helps.
all of my male clients, I start getting them on some sort of fighting,
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or whatever
Yeah.
they find an affinity to.
yeah,
They have to get on it.
yeah.
It's not an option.
Yeah.
We have to find something. I do a lot of these things, so they
Yeah.
come with me sometimes or whatever, and we find something that
Yeah.
works for them. But also, one of the things that are not very talked about is the rise of feminism and how it's affected testosterone levels in
Yeah.
men, because it has affected
Yeah.
masculinity in
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
whether we like it or we don't.
Yeah.
Whether
There is,
it
I mean,
was-
yeah, I know it's a bit controversial, but
is.
we've read research about it, and it is true. It's just men need to balance. I mean,
listen, that does not make feminism right or wrong.
yes,
But that has now a direct link and correlation
Yeah.
with the decline of testosterone, right?
Okay.
We're not talking just about
Yeah.
masculinity,
yeah,
right? With the decline of
Yeah.
testosterone, because if you look at the timelines, it's the steep decline, and there are men that are 20 to 30 that are born that have less like have half the testosterone of what I have, and not a small amount,
Yeah.
like a high percentage.
yeah. And I mean, I think, and you're the expert in this, but any like lifestyle changes, food, good sleep, can actually impact it.
Yes.
It's not like, okay, this is it, it's going to stay low.
No. I mean, there's also research that says if you get into TRT and you haven't optimized the rest of your life, it probably won't make a difference. Actually, it might cause problems because what it will do is it will also increase your feminine hormones, your female hormones, right? Which can cause huge problems like progesterone and estrogen and all of those, right? Estradiol, all of that stuff. So in order for you to do this in a healthy way, you have to, that's where the 10 pillars of life mastery falls into the 40 and 50 bracket of men. It's first we optimize your life. Let's mitigate the stress, because stress is the biggest the cause of the decrease of testosterone. Let's mitigate all of that and keep testing and see what happens. And usually it just goes whoop to a nice level, right? There are some men that need some help. But that was how I got into TRT. Is that I optimize, and then I got to a point where I was like, if I want to optimize that part, I need a little bit of help. So I microdose on it, and
if it is there, I mean, if there is a solution, you have an expert, you can monitor it. Why not? I mean, I think this is one of the things we had discussed when we said we should do a podcast together, is that we really live one life. Like, let's live it to the best we can. Men, women, ultra performance, high performance, not the high achievers. No, I'm kidding.
High achievers.
No. Arsalan, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Thank you very much. Thanks.